From Newsweek, Hasan Piker stopped from filming by police in China. What we know. Heavens. They say that, let's jump to the what to know part. As the group waited, Piker joined fellow Twitch streamer Will Neff that we're all in Tiananmen Square, so we're all becoming Chinese. Jeez, dude. Neff held up his phone to the camera to show what appeared to be the AI-created image showing Mao in the likeness of Piker, accompanied by the Maoist slogan, "Closely follow the great leader, Chairman Mao, forward in revolution." Within seconds, a police officer approached and instructed them to put away the phone, which they did. But the audio kept recording. He wants to see the photo. He says, he said he saw you. I was just holding the camera, but I didn't do anything. The officer then asked to review the most recent footage from the live stream. The broadcast abruptly cut to black with an intermission screen displaying the message, "We're doing secret memes, be right back." When it resumed, Piker and the group were seen laughing about the encounter as they continued toward the square. "This is awesome. I don't know why people aren't enjoying all of this." And here's what happens. I believe he said this statement after the police.
Yeah, this is after.
My mind, in my conscience, I have already become Chinese. Okay? We were already white Chinese in this chat. I've already become full Chinese.
See, things are better already.
Okay? Let me just start by saying that. It's fucking sick. Okay? Like, you have abundant style consumption paired up with a centrally controlled economy, an economic system that has yielded tremendous development. You have 1950s Soviet era building blocks next to the Gucci store. If there was ever a country that represented the synthesis, the things that I enjoy so much personally, if ever such a country existed, I do not know.
Hasan Piker praising China, which has Uyghur Muslims in prison camps where they're raped and forced to get abortions, but that's what he loves. The fascinating thing is I have no problem pointing out the U.S. has problems with drone strikes, the killing of civilians, Abdurrahman al-Awlaki. I can point out China doing it as well. The reason why I can't stand people like Hasan is that he's just in favor. He just wants to be on the winning team. I think he's making the bet here that the U.S. empire is crumbling and China is ascendant, so that's why he's praising China.
That's a horrible miscalculation.
He's an imbecile because he's talking about all of this. He's talking about abundance that China has. China does not have that in the absence of the United States. China has all of that because they are making things and selling these things to the rest of the world. And so without capitalism, without markets and access to markets, China has none of that. So Hasan thinking that he's in some kind of socialist utopia is a misunderstanding of what he's actually experiencing, and he's not smart enough to address that or understand that.
He's just happy they let him eat dogs.
Yeah.
Are you guys in favor of the tariffs? Where do you guys stand on? You're pro-tariff.
Super pro-tariff. And the tariff dividend is a brilliant idea, although I think Trump's overestimating.
The idea of taking my money with tariffs, making my products cost 20% more, and then giving $2,000 to a bunch of people, it makes me irate.
Why?
That's wealth distribution, and I'm not into that.
I'm for
redistribution.
Yeah, wealth
Totally
redistribution.
It's trade protectionism. The idea is if you want to buy products from overseas, that's detrimental to the United States. So you will pay a tax on that, which makes it more competitive for American companies to produce the products. And then we're not keeping that money for the government. It's going back to the people so that this stimulates more economic activity.
If it goes back to me, if it goes back to every person, that's one thing. If it just goes back to people with if it just goes back to the people with under $29,000 a year, if there's a cap and of wealth distribution to the poor,
if I understand correctly, it's going to go to people that make less than $100,000.
I hope that doesn't. Someone told me I sound heartless when I'm saying that, but it is a form of wealth redistribution. That it's like who thinks they have the authority to do that?
You're right. The U.S. government does.
Besant made a very good argument to Tim's point about the national security of again. There's 90% of all our pharmaceuticals come from Southeast Asia. Is that we have parts for our naval. Our Navy is getting parts from China. I mean, I don't. How can you justify that? So, I mean, if we have to create incentives for business to come back here again, if we are looking at a Gen Z issue, a working class issue where people don't have opportunity to compete for the American dream, well, then that is the government's job, right? To make sure the free market has to. You still need referees to keep it free. It's not a free for all. It's not It's not anarcho-capitalism, right? I mean, there has to. You can't compete with slave labor abroad, and it is cheap. And I used to understand the supply side argument all too well, but as we're seeing it here, we've been exploited. We've been exploited by the people that make things and selling it to people that don't.
So the tariffs so far have brought in $195 billion. They could give 97.5 million people a $2,000 dividend. It actually kind of makes sense. If they're targeting lower income people, then it seems like it is possible they do this, especially by the end of the year. I'm for it. The example I often give is the example that I know, skateboarding. It makes no sense for the United States to buy lumber from Canada, ship it to China, then ship it to the United States to sell a skateboard, and all that does is shut down American factories and American lumber demand. The bigger issue, of course, is that we import all of our aluminum from Canada, but Canada doesn't even have bauxite mines. So they're importing their aluminum from China and Brazil, refining it, and then selling it to us at a premium, which makes literally no sense. So put tariffs on it, shut that down, and say, we need refineries in the United States.
And recycling plants. They're now with gaseous chlorine, they can recycle rare earth metals really easily now.
We have Alaska as well. So the issue is free trade, the plot. Here's why you should support Trump, Ian. The liberal economic order launched after World War II was trying to prevent World War III. The idea was if we create economic ties by force, war can't happen. Why did war stop in Europe? Because trade. Everybody traded, they intermingled, and then didn't want to fight because their wealth was tied to it. So they said, here's the plan. We will give away lower tier economic blocks from the United States to foreign countries, Canada, China, Mexico, Indonesia, etc. We will then tell all of the American youth to go to college, so they will be specialists who make more money. The Americans will design the products and run the businesses where the cheap Chinese labor does all the work. The only problem, we are not the smartest people. You can't just put people in college. So what ends up happening is the liberal economic order gave away our manufacturing base, our steel, our aluminum, auto manufacturing, etc., to foreign countries. Skateboards, clothing, made no sense. They gave it away. We can't now restart it, and it's been a detriment to our economy. We again, it makes no sense climate change wise. That's a liberal argument that that Canada imports from bauxite mines in Australia and then refines the aluminum and sends it to us when we could just do it directly and cut out the middleman and save energy. The point is the tariffs are attempting to stop the liberal economic plot to force people around the world into the petrodollar by giving away American manufacturing and resources.
Okay, if it incentivizes, I'd be happy to start a manufacturing plant.
Let me put it this way. The skateboards that are made in China are selling for $90 or $100 on these professional skate websites. Boonies team boards, $50. Boonies Pro models, $55. Because the wood is all from the United States, that's manufactured in the United States, printed in the United States, and shipped in the United States. We don't have to put them on boats. The problem is, if we had the skateboards made in China by Chinese peasant labor, we would save $5 per board. So American manufacturers can't compete with Chinese peasant labor.
Have you noticed a reduction in cost of production since the tariffs, like a year, 6 months? Have you noticed anything, any changes?
Nothing's changed for our American skateboard production because we're not impacted by the tariffs. Coffee, however, we have eaten one on that. And that's why I said the tariffs don't make sense for coffee, because coffee is regional and we don't grow it here except for Kona in Hawaii.
Are there companies that have sprung up since? I mean, there's a lot of
can't grow coffee. I was just talking with the Black Rifle guys. We don't have the climate or the altitude for it. Hawaii.
That's the only.
I do
only
forget
place
that they are in America. That's
Kona coffee, and it is some of the best coffee. Seriously, Kona coffee is like top tier.
That volcanic soil.
Oh, yup, some of the best.
This is volcanic water, by the way. Icelandic. Oh no, it's glacial water. I'm sorry.
Plastic.
It's glacial. Yeah, unfortunately.
No, but for real,
glacial water.
So we are able to produce some of the best coffee, but not enough of it.
Yeah, I think the problem is the American voter, we were talking about this earlier, is a hypocrite. So you want jobs, you want our economy to be better, but that means we need to deal with China. If we deal with China, that means entrepreneurs are going to go out of business because a lot of their businesses are leveraged with Chinese products. So which one is it?
Well, it's because we gave away our manufacturing because peasant Chinese labor is cheap and an American worker can't compete. So now Gen Z is like, I can't get a job. Don't worry, the Chinese peasant can. So what does Trump do? Okay, here's what we're going to do. And it's brilliant. If you want a skateboard from China, it's going to cost you 50% more. You buy it from America, it's going to be no tax. This means that these companies can't hire Chinese peasants to outcompete American workers anymore.
This other aspect of competition between China and the United States is the Belt and Road Initiative. Chinese are investing in Africa and a lot of mining. There's cobalt mining going on in the Congo. Well, now we just have developed, I mean, this is like in the last year, 6-8 months, they've figured out using chlorinated gas how to recycle the cobalt and reuse it. So we don't need to rely on these mines in Africa as much. And I mean, we can get that reduction. Ideally, that we harvest enough of a supply that we don't need any external foreign mines. So it's extremely promising.
We are reindustrializing here in America at an unbelievable pace. Like, that is something that has been done over the last year. There are incredible things this administration has done, not to cheerlead. There are great things that they're doing as far as upgrading technology. They're doing things with air travel that's going to revolutionize. Are they going to run out of time?
Yes.
That's now, that becomes when you have the midterm, and then you're going to be lame duck going into 28. Are they going to have the time to get to the finish line? And that, I think, more than anything else, is where you get frustrated with how much time they spent and how much energy and resources they spent, especially, in information and media equity on foreign policy. Because what they're doing at home, and I love Besson. I think Besson's great, man. I think he's brilliant, and I see the vision. And you said something to me yesterday, like, man, if we could just get America to go on a diet. I don't know why you said it to me personally, but if we could just get America to go on a diet for 12 months, we could set ourselves up for the next 30 years.
Yeah.
If we can get this country to buy in, and I think, to Tim's point, the right leader could do that. The right leader could do, guys, listen. I know this isn't great right now, but this is the plan, and it's gonna work, and we just all need to get together, come together. Let's not spend. Let's have an economic diet for 12 months, guys, and we'll throw a big party in 12 months.
This is the problem of this is the problem of democratic constitutional republicanism. A king can simply stand there and say, we are overspending and cuts are going to happen in the budget.
And if you don't like it,
too bad.
And if you don't like it, I got a different kind of cut. So the issue right now is the Speaker of the House is going to say, we need to reduce the budget. We're in a deficit. The Democrats are going to say, no. You cut Republicans. No, I can't. Everybody just argues and everyone agrees, you know what? Let's all just keep deficit spending. There's no centralized authority to say, I'm making the decision, we're making the cuts. Think about a
makes
business.
$11 billion a year off Snap.
Think about a business where the boss goes, I have to make a hard choice. We're going to be laying people off because we don't have infinite money. I have fired 10% of the staff. And it's unfortunate, but we're closing the travel and exploration division of the media company. Then people are all sad. If there was no boss and everybody from the company had to come in and sit down and argue over who was getting fired, they're all going to say, not me. Is it going to be you? No, don't vote against me. If you vote, I'll side with you. And then they go, how about we just steal money from other people so we don't got to get fired? And that's the American system.
Yeah, I think one or two things are true. One, maybe he went into the White House with the mindset of, I'm going all in on this. And then, of course, the courts got involved. Deep State got involved and started slowing him down. Or two, maybe he doesn't have the people around him who are willing to do what it takes. Because what we're asking for is it's a big price that needs to be paid. We need to deal with China. People scream about Israel every day, and they have nothing to say about China. Are you kidding me? China could end us tomorrow just with the supply chain.
Yep.
They don't even need to deploy their military.
Well, China, a disease escaped from one of their labs.
Exactly.
And set the world, put the world on pause for 5 years. Untold economic pain, and they've never once been held accountable.
Not only that,
has anybody ever been like, well, we're not doing trade with China because they infected the world? Not once, right? So isn't that kind of weird that nobody's ever once been like, hey, China, you owe us something?
They're still
the
pointing
best
the finger.
Is selling a book, screwing about Fauci all day long, but not actually prosecuting him.
I used to think that Trump didn't have the people around him that knew what the best technologies on the planet are that we need to implement, and that may still be the case, but there's a lot of Department of Energy contracts that aren't on the news that I'm learning about when I'm at the nanotechnologies labs. Like, they're pumping this technology into the government right now. So there might be a hyper acceleration going on with some competitive undertech, like transforming to a carbon-based system instead of a steel, like instead of heavy steels, you've got like lightweight carbons, and hydrogen fuels instead of petroleum fuels. I think that might be happening behind the scenes. I just need the morale boost from the president.
Yeah, I think really quickly, he planted the seeds. They don't harvest overnight. So let's see what happens next year, because I think that's judgment time. I think judgment time for everything he's done in the first 10 months is going to be next spring. And it's either going to be, okay, I see where this is going finally, or to Tim's point, it's a nightmare.
Well, I mean, so one of the positive things about Donald Trump, and it's really easy to get blackpilled considering like the way things have gone for the past few months. But Donald Trump is not an ideologue, right? He's not a libertarian ideologue who totally believes that libertarian ideas are the way to go. He's not a socialist who's like, this is, Marx was right and blah, blah, blah. He's not ideologically motivated. He's motivated by his own ego, and he's motivated by being able to say, look, I did this and it worked. He wants people to like him. He wants to be successful. So if a policy is not working, he will change that policy. Yeah. And there's evidence. He has a historical precedent having done that kind of stuff. If he's got a policy that he's pushing or that he's championing and it doesn't work, he will change it. If there is something that he thinks, if there's a policy that's brought to him that he thinks will work, he will try it. And that is something that you can say, this might be a saving grace for the Trump administration, because I'm sure that he's heard a bunch of the pushback on the H-1Bs, and hopefully that will be, he'll actually adjust course with that, because that's not popular and the American people don't want that.
He's missing Kayleigh McEnany too. I mean, Carolyn Levitt, whatever you think, Kayleigh got the message out. She was on point. She could communicate. They're losing the information more than anything else.
I don't know how you recover from Trump saying on TV H-1Bs.
I know.
They're trying, but yeah.
It's because you have to be realistic. Trump's being honest.
Yeah.
That, like I bring up all the time, Gen Alpha's 42 million people. In 3 years, Gen Alpha should be entering the workforce, but they're half the size of Gen Z. And we already don't have the Gen Z 18-year-olds because the birth rate drop-off extends into the youngest portions of Gen Z as well. Universities are already closing. Mathematically, you need workers now, otherwise the system will break down. All that matters is this. Immigration won't solve the problem. It's a bandit on a bullet wound. And no civilization has ever recovered from this trend. Ever.
But population collapse is the trend?
Yes.
No civilization's ever had this technology that we have either.
Sure. The issue is that 18 years ago, I was supposed to have a kid. Historically and traditionally, at 22 is when I would have my first child. I didn't. I was sleeping on floors. I had a $10 an hour job at the airport. I could barely afford rent or a car. And so I figured out how to make things work. But for all that I've talked about with I succeeded, I started a business, I wasn't able to start a family at that time. Mm-hmm. And realistically, by 30, I could have. But trying to succeed and work and not just stagnate was part of what motivated me in the first place. So for many young people, just nobody had kids. You cannot have children right now to solve the problem of 18 years ago. So even if everybody right now had 4 kids, it's still going to be 20 years until we turn things around.
Sometimes a bandage on a bullet wound will keep you alive long enough to get to the hospital.
Band-aid
18 years
on a bullet wound.
But
the point is,
if
it
it's
won't.
a strong enough bandage, it could keep you alive until the solution is presented. And there's this technology they're calling it the molecular jackhammer. It's this little molecule that goes out and in 1 trillion times a second when you shine infrared light on it. It may be able to incite pregnancy and help women become more fertile. So we may be able to see women having kids into their later 50s and 60s.
I got one of those. It came.
You got the jackhammer on you right now?
I got one of those.
I can tell.
It came stock.
Yeah, dude. You were built with the jackhammer.
Well, hold on. The problem is 40% of women under 30 years old want to lead this country, and they do not want to have kids.
So you got to change their mindsets.
That's what I said. Step 1 is always mindset.
It's actually well, according to Tony Robbins, you change your state.
There's probably somebody,
story.
dude. There's probably somebody out there like Elon or somebody's probably working on like trying to get female gestation and pregnancy down to like 3 months or something. They're working on an efficiency.
Again, the problem is that's a symptom. The root cause is in here. It's just like what you're saying. Why can't an 18-year-old, a 19-year-old get one income, get a house, and have a family? That's the root cause.
Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.